One last time from Assembly Hall this season. It's Inside Indiana Overtime. I'm Alex McCarthy. That's Jordan Gusky. And earlier today, this is Sunday night. Earlier today, Indiana beat Maryland 80-62 to remain to finish the regular season 17-0 at Assembly Hall, combined 31-0 between the Indiana men's and women's teams in this building this year. Unfortunately for both those teams, they are done playing here for the season, but still some postseason left for both of them. About the game, it seemed like it was hours ago. We've had all this senior day stuff and a bunch of interviews and things like that, so I can hardly even remember this game. But I think we both kind of expected Indiana to win, just because it's not that Maryland's a bad team at all, but Indiana just in this building is just
Assembly Hall.
Yeah, they're literally unbeatable this year. Troy Williams had a fantastic night. Yogi Ferrell had a solid night on his last game here tonight. What else really stood out to you, especially with Williams, because he kind of stole the show, especially early in the second half?
Yeah, I think like, as you mentioned, Williams was huge in that second half. It's something that we've seen from this IU team, that once they get that big lead in the first half with these really skilled teams that have come in, they kind of had a letdown in the second half, and then that's led to some very close games at the end that IU fans probably would have rather kept at an 18-point finish like this Maryland game. But Williams was huge. He got for like Indiana's first eight of Indiana's first 10 points in the second half. And then just guys like Juwan Morgan and OG Anunoby, there was this game, this whole year we've seen a lot of hustle plays from a lot of different people, but it seemed like everyone came this game and everyone had a bunch of hustle plays. Yogi had the steal and jump ball towards the end of the game.
Minute,
Morgan had a bunch of his plays, even guarding Melo Trimble on drives, and that's not going to be easy. And Trimble was still missing his layup, so it's stuff like that's going to be huge in the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, it's going to be tougher playing away from Assembly Hall, but seeing them go out on a game that was this high publicized, you had 12 or 14, I think, in the rankings. To beat the number 14 team in the nation by 18 points it's really good.
Yeah, and it's not like that was exaggerated with free throws or anything at the end. I mean, Indiana was legitimately leading by 12 to 15 throughout the whole second half. And I think we talked about it the other day on the podcast or on one of our post-game videos, but this season has just really come to fruition because of a lot of those role-playing guys like Morgan and Anunoby. Max Bielfeldt, who I mean, it's hard to even think of him as kind of a role player because he's played so well this season, but those guys who kind of fill in the gaps around Ferrell, and when Williams maybe isn't as consistent as he's been in the past couple games, those guys have totally changed this season, totally turned it around. Thomas Bryant's development has been huge, and to see him play as well as he did tonight, I mean, maybe not a great statistical night. He had 8 points, 8 rebounds, yeah, pretty good. But just in terms of watching him against Diamond Stone tonight, because that's one of those kind of measuring sticks that you like to see out of when looking at freshmen is how do they match up against other top freshmen in the league. And Bryant, I thought, played fantastically well against Stone. There were some lapses that Diamond Stone had where Bryant kind of remained engaged all game, and it was just it was a wild game. I mean, there were like some really weird passes that Indiana had. There's that ridiculous Nick Zeisloff over the
incredible
spinning whatever the heck that was, and then we had senior day speeches that we watched, which is fun. What were a couple of the highlights of those, just to end this on kind of a lighthearted note?
Right, I really liked Tharp. Jackson Tharp ended his speech, or at least it was towards the end, where he said, he gave a shout out to the managers, which I thought was pretty appropriate. Being the former manager, I think that's been one of the coolest stories over the course of this season, because as Crean said, he didn't give it as kind of like a charity thing. Like, Tharp earned his play, and he showed, and he's had very limited play, but he hasn't gone out there on the court and looked like a deer in the headlights. He's looked at like Indiana's thing. He's been the next man up. When he's in there, he's playing. When he's in warm-ups, he's making shots, just like every other person. So he really is a part of this team. And then, as Yogi said at the end of his thing, he wanted to go out a winner, and I think to go out with an 18-point win over Maryland and the 22nd Big Ten title for regular season, undefeated at home at Assembly Hall, I think that's huge. I think he really got the legacy he wanted with this.
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect ending to Yogi Ferrell's career, and even though maybe the highlight of his senior speech might have been him talking about the late night massages he gets from his girlfriend, who's a cheerleader here. It was still, there were still a lot of points in that speech that were very where Farrell kind of addressed being the center of the team, being the guy, because he's the only 4-year senior here. The others are transfers, walk-ons. Tharp is a manager.
Right.
So it was interesting to kind of hear from Farrell about that. And we have transcripts and video of all 5 senior speeches on the site, so check that out. But for now, that's about all we've got from Assembly Hall. For the season.
Yeah.
We're done here.
It's been a good one.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. It's been very interesting to chart crowd reaction to the team and to Tom Crean and to everything, because earlier in the season
there were boos in his warm-up.
Yeah,
there were boos.
Yeah, and
people used to boo Tom Crean in warm-up.
Yeah, and people were not showing up, kind of out of protest about the team. And now, I mean, there's just, this team is beloved now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Seeing the crowds for like the Austin P or the Eastern Illinois, and then seeing the crowds for the Iowa and the Purdue and the Maryland. There's always going to be a difference because non-conference is Big Ten, but still, Indiana basketball showed why it's Indiana basketball.
Yeah. So, interesting season, but it's going to get a little bit more interesting this Friday. Indiana's going to play either Michigan or Northwestern in that 8 or 9 game.
Right.
The winner of that game on Friday at noon at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. We'll be there again, like we were last Friday. We'll see if the men can stay in it longer than the women did. But until then, thanks for watching all season. Thanks for reading and clicking and everything like that. But for now, have a good night, and we will talk to you soon.